Hi, this is Kelly from Cozy Reader Kelly, and today I want to share with you an original tag I created, my first tag, called the Off the Grid Book Tag. And this tag came to me, the inspiration was because in 2 weeks my family and I are going on a vacation, and we're going to a retreat center that's in the middle of the Cascade Mountains of Washington State. And this place is so remote that it kind of runs completely on itself. It's completely self-contained, has its own energy, and grows their own food. Any supplies they need, they get from a boat that goes up a river from the closest town. So while we're there for the week, we will have no internet, no cell phone reception, and just be living off the grid. So that inspired me to come up with this tag called Off the Grid Book Tag. So the first question is, you are going on a mountain climbing adventure. Which book's characters would you want as part of your climbing team? And I was thinking about what I would want in a climbing team to support me as I'm climbing, and strength and intelligence and courage and all those things. And so I picked the Gladers from The Maze Runner. And I didn't love this series. This book was all right. I probably gave it a middle, somewhere 3 stars, and then the other 2 I just skimmed through because I just wanted to hear the ending. So I didn't love the book, but I would say the Gladers would make a great mountain climbing team because they've been basically thrown into a situation that they have to be resourceful and be intelligent enough to take care of themselves. Also, the runners in the story that have to run the maze would be strong from running all the time and all the manual labor they have to do to take care of themselves. So I think that they would be probably pretty intelligent, resourceful, and smart, and since they work together all the time, be a good team to take on a climbing adventure. Number 2, if you were in a wilderness survival situation, which book would you want as a guide? And I know the intelligent thing to say would probably be an actual survival guide, but I don't read survival guides. So what I would take is the first book from the Hunger Games, because even though this is fiction, this book I feel has a lot of survival tips in it, because when Katniss is in the first games, she has to find her own food, her own water, she has to hide from enemies, and even though in this one it's people trying to kill her, in real life, you have to watch out for animals and stuff like that. In a survival situation, she has to build her own places to stay and where she's going to sleep and everything. So I think there's actually quite a lot of guide to how to take care of yourself in a survival situation. Number 3, you are spending the day canoeing on a river. Which author would you like to spend the day paddling with? And for this, I thought I want an author that I want to ask a lot of questions about, some questions to somebody who I enjoy their writing, and also somebody that I think would be fun to be in a canoe with all day long. And so I picked Shannon Hale, and she writes a wide variety of books. She does both children and YA and adult. She's done some graphic novels with her family. And so I think she'd be a good choice because I'm kind of interested in all of those different genres. I also love her children's books, and so I have lots of questions about how she comes up with her worlds, because most of them are fantasy, her young ones, and how she comes with the names. I love the names of her characters. I actually really wanted to name one of my children Isali after the character in this book, but we decided that it was probably a little too hard for people to pronounce, and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it the way she intended. So I just think she'd be an interesting person to spend the day talking to about how she comes up with her stories and the writing process. Number 4 is, you are packing as light as possible for a backpacking trip. Which lightweight book would you pack? And so obviously I want to think of a paperback, because if I'm going to try to stuff it in my backpack with all the other items, I don't want a hardback. But I also want something that I won't just read so fast that it would be over, and then I might, if it's a long backpacking trip, I would just have nothing to entertain myself. So what I chose is the No Fear Shakespeare Sonnets. And what this book is, it's all of the sonnets of Shakespeare. And on one side, it's in the real Shakespeare writing, and then on the other side, it's in really plain modern language. And what I like about that is that I can like take time to study the sonnets, and there's also a lot of blank space, so I could also use it kind of like a journal and write notes on the sonnets. And I've just gotten really into the sonnets because I took a theater class where we used the sonnets as monologues, and we had somebody come in, like a dialect coach, to talk about how you kind of speak in the rhythm of the sonnets and the way Shakespeare writes. And it was just fascinating. I really enjoyed the exercise, and I really want to like study more of the sonnets. So I think this would be a great thing. It's paperback, lightweight, and gives journal opportunities and more study to do if you're on a longer trip. Number 5 is, which book setting would you like to spend the day hiking in? And there's so many different ones I could think of, but the one that I chose was The Hound of Baskerville by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. And this is obviously a Sherlock Holmes book. And I picked this one because I felt like this was such an atmospheric book, and he really describes the Devonshire countryside in England, and just like all of the like heather-clad moors and the tors, which are like rock croppings. And I've seen some pictures of the area. It just seems gorgeous and a beautiful landscape to take a walk in. So number 6 is, if you were stranded on a deserted island, which book character would you like to have as a companion? And originally I was thinking that I was going to say book crush, but I know a lot of people don't have book crushes, and plus you might want somebody not like romantic as your island person. So you could take this how you want it as a companion. I am choosing Stephen from the book I Capture the Castle by Dodie Smith. And this book takes place in the 1930s England. And the family in this is a family that has kind of, the father is washed up in his career, so they don't have much money at all. They're basically like living off of nothing. And they have a boy named Stephen who lives with them. Well, he's not really a boy at this point, he's a young man. But he's lived with them since he was a young boy, and he used to be their servant, but now they can't afford to pay him. But he continues to live with them because they're basically his whole family. And so it's kind of a weird dynamic of he is kind of like the servant and a family member. And I picked Stephen because I just thought he was a great character in this. He's kind and sweet. He's loyal. He loves poetry. He obviously would be a good person in a situation like that you're alone and need to like take care of yourself, because he has spent a lot of his life working on the land and being a farmer. So he'd be good in the situation of like building shelters and finding us food and taking care of us. But also he's described as incredibly good looking in this book, and like by everyone, like young people, older people. Like he's just universally good looking from the description. And you know, if you're gonna be alone on a deserted island, you know, it's not bad to have somebody attractive to look at. So I would say Stephen from I Capture the Castle. Number 7 is, it's the end of the day and you are sitting around the campfire with friends. Which cozy or scary story would you choose to share with them? And I gave the option of cozy or scary because I know a lot of people like to do scary stories around the campfire. I personally do not like scary stories. They would keep me up and I wouldn't be able to sleep. So I chose a cozy story for this. And for this I chose the story Stone Soup. And I have this book, which is by John Muth, but I've known this story for a long time. It's a folk story that's been around for a long time. I mean, I have no idea how old the actual story is. It's like a folk legend that just keeps going. And it's all about, this one specifically is about these 3 monks that are traveling, and they stop at this village, and the village is all closed up and doesn't want to give them a place to stay or food to eat. And so they start making stone soup in the middle of town. And basically they put a pot of water to boil and ask for some stones to put in it. And they're gonna make soup from stones. And as they're going, they start, you know, people are like, oh, I'd really like to learn how to make stone soup because that must be cheap to make just with some stones. And they say things like, oh, wouldn't this taste a little better with some carrots in it? Wouldn't it be better with garlic? And so on, until the soup is basically just soup made with anything that they have in the town, vegetables, and everything. So the town is basically created soup by all contributing together, even though they're afraid of each other and afraid to like connect, and thought that they were like they thought they didn't have enough to share. And they find out when you start to share, you have enough for everyone. And this is the kind of story that I wouldn't need the book to share. So if I was sitting around a campfire, I could tell the story without having a book and just be able to like talk about it, and it'd be a nice little story to share around the campfire. And so it could be, if you were choosing, it could be a book that you would also just be able to tell, or it could be something that you would want to read aloud at a campfire. Number 8 is tag some adventurous friends. And since this is my original tag, I'm going to tag a bunch of people so that the tag doesn't die right away. And all of these people I'm tagging are people that I subscribe to and that I enjoy. Most of them are smaller booktubers. So I'm going to link all of their channels down below. So feel free to go and check them all out. They're all really nice people that I've had conversations with on BookTube. So check them out. And I'm tagging Elizabeth from literarylizzzy, Dane from Dane Reads, Jasmine from Jasmine's Reads, Mary from With Cinnamon Please, Charlie from Reader Turn Writer, Alex from Alex Black, Hannah from Snow White and the Seven Shelves, Sarah from The Literary Life, Dee from Book Bubbles, Emma from Emma Novella, Irina from Beautiful Pages, Leslie from Leslie Cardix, Jennifer from Novel Crawler, Paul from Paul Reads, and Emma from Emma Rosen Books. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope that you do the tag. Even if you weren't tagged, go ahead and do it if you want to. And you don't have to be a nature outside person if that's what's holding you back. You know, it's just fun to kind of think about how the different characters would do off the grid. All right, thanks. Bye.